Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. I managed to get back in time, Paul.
This is going to be a very interesting start to the show, folks, but I think Brian's internet keeps on crashing. But yes, we are here with the UK Cowboys only, and you can see here I am wearing my cowboy hat. But yeah, I think Brian's having some technical issues right now. So hold on, let me take my hat off now. There we go. Good. Fuck it. Free ball on it. There we go. How is everyone? Once Brian's all sorted with his internet and stuff like that, I didn't even give myself a wee market ahead. Jeez, but yeah, how's everyone doing? Good to see everyone here. Benny in the chat. Joe, as always. Tim's here. DJ Dog's here. Thanks again for the nice hat. But yes, it was a nice victory Monday. The Dallas Cowboys won this week 20-17. Yes. So it's going to be, I think this is going to be a kind of weird, different show tonight, folks, because obviously with internet connections and stuff like that, whatever. But anyway, I think Brian might be back now, actually. So let me just check. You good to go, Brian?
Yeah, I think I'm with you now.
There he is. There he is.
I literally disconnected 4 things from the internet connection, and then it went like this. So apologies for that. But we've had a late night, Paul.
Oh yeah, I had a late night, a very late night. To be honest with you, I didn't actually watch the whole game because I was that freaking tired. I was at the Luke Combs concert the night before, before the game, and I came home. I was already tired as it was, and literally, just like I think it was like within the third quarter, I was just like really struggling to stay awake. So it was just really nice to wake up and find out that we actually won the game. So I went back and rewatched the whole game, like during my lunch break and stuff like that. And yeah, great freaking result. And we'll get Graham involved in here as well. There we go. But yes, Brian, what do you think about the game?
I think it was a good performance.
Much better than last week. Put it that way.
Yeah. Like, I think this weekend showed, above all else, any given Sunday and all that. Like, that team up north lost, 49ers lost, you know.
You couldn't have asked for a better weekend, put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You couldn't. And that's the thing about it. Like, as we say, look, Cowboys won 20-17. You know, I mean, let's be honest, this was a bit of a revenge game for some people.
I think for one person, more than it was more for him. But it was actually it was actually so funny to see him on the sideline look as though he was in pain. Like, maybe not so much as the LA Chargers fan that was so happy and excited, talking about the girl that was pure screaming away. The next thing, she's pure distraught. I'm like, that's just pure meme worthy already. So I feel bad for her because the internet is savage. No, but in all honesty, like when you're made into a meme and you're just like, oh god, this is just everyone is not. This is never going to go away for the rest of my life now. Essentially, so I feel bad for her in that regard, but I don't feel bad for her because she's a Chargers fan. If that makes sense. But nice to meet your acquaintance here, Graham.
Yeah, it's good to get the live link sooner or later.
Yeah, as you can tell, folks, we're very prepared tonight. We're very prepared.
Yeah. About as prepared as that offensive line was.
Say that again, Graham?
About as prepared as that offensive line was last night.
Ours or theirs?
Ours.
Well, yeah.
Have any of us been flagged yet? No. Are we good? No, I think we're good. Was that the most flagged game in NFL history? Can anybody clarify that for me?
It should have, if that's the case, there, Graham, it should have been even more flagged. Some of this is not on the offensive line. This was on that special teams move, where Turpin clattered.
Yeah.
Like how? Like I don't know who it was. The player engaged before bumping into Turpin, but he actually had him. If it was face grabbing him, like had him. I face punched him. How was that no freaking called? I was like, "Buh." You know what I mean?
Is this on the muff punt recovery?
Yeah.
I mean, was it clear enough? Did he actually call for a fair catch?
I saw I saw that prior to him catching it. That to me is a fair catch.
I thought I did.
But
But I mean, it was a cowboy that made contact with him, so I don't know if that's.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter. If I'm being perfectly honest, if there's someone that basically made the action, that the engagement and force them into someone else, that's still taking that into effect. But freaking bloody NFL. Anyway. But we should be happy though, Graham. We won.
We did. Yeah, I think we made hard work of it.
Like I do agree. Like I think what you were trying to say about the offensive line. I mean, I had to rewatch the game today, obviously, because I was just mentioning I was at Luke Combs last night and I was just trying to stay awake. So when I rewatched the game, I have to give props to Dak Prescott in this game, considering how our O-line was in that game. He made the best of every situation throughout that whole game. And no one can blame Dak for the drop passes. That is on Michael Gallup or whoever else. Like, Gallup was given absolute belters of good opportunities in that game, and didn't make the most of it. We could have done more damage. We could have, but Dak felt comfortable. He looked loose. He looked very in control of that game. In comparison to Justin Herbert, though, bloody hell, elite quarterback, top 5. Come on, away and take a hike. See it.
I was hearing reports that Justin Herbert was the best quarterback this year. Yesterday, this was some of the reports I was hearing.
I would love
thoughts on him were.
I mean, they managed to keep Eckler to a non-event, really. So he's got to throw, and the performance from Deron Bland, he had one, he could have had a second. I mean, that was incredible. That was a great performance from Bland last night. It just shows. I mean, everybody that wants to move on from Dak, it's not easy. I mean, I was it last week's post game? I brought it up that it's getting difficult to protect for all the time, but it doesn't work like that. It's not set in stone that you're going to have a great season all the time. You're going to have the off day, and there's a prime example. We came up against a relatively new quarterback who had an off day. I mean, look at the checkered start to the season that Joe Burrow's had. You can't get a better for instance than that. Everybody can beat everybody in this league.
Yeah.
It's just about putting enough wins together to get you into the postseason. But I know some might see it as a ridiculous thing to say, but see, on their day, the Bears can beat anybody. The Bears can everybody can put up points. Everybody's got at least one kind of star in their team. If you like, that's the way it works. It's the way the draft makes it. I mean, you might be drafting in the top 10 every year, somebody like the Bears or the Jets, but even the Jets and Bears have the odd bit of talent. I mean, look what the Jets did to the Eagles last night, or on Sunday night.
Can we talk about that? Can we actually just talk about that?
You didn't think I was going to let the show go 15 minutes without talking about it? I mean, come on.
It's good. No, this has actually been the longest we've not actually slated the Eagles in this point. So it's a kind words to you, Philadelphia. Get it up, yeah.
And like, I just want to kind of go back, as you said, Graham, about young quarterbacks and having checkered performances. You said Joe Burrow. Brock Purdy didn't look great at the weekend, with McCaffrey out, with Deebo Samuel out. Jalen Hurts didn't look great at the weekend. It's just amazing. And Paul, you always say this as well, is it's amazing the crap Dak takes for a bad game.
It's ridiculous, Brian. It really is.
Yeah.
It seems like everyone's now talking, like they made the headlines just there, obviously talking about Brock Purdy. Now they're kind of getting shown a bit of flack on him now recently. It's like, is Brock Purdy elite? He's got elite weapons, but he's not an elite quarterback. But that's besides the point. Whenever Dallas loses, if it's by a small margin or a large margin, they amplify it, and it's just so unfair criticism. Don't get me wrong, we like to share our criticism towards Dak as well when he does something that is actually completely stupid. Yes, he does. He has made some stupid decisions as a quarterback, like for example, like the triple coverage back in the Arizona game, for a good example. But there's nothing I could really say in that game there against the Chargers. He actually did anything really wrong in that game. I thought he had a really good, solid game. So I'm really interested to see what the mainstream media are going to say about him now. Like, this is, he had a good game, but he's still inconsistent. That's probably what we'll end up saying. Like, and then in a fairness, I do tend to slightly agree with that, but it's just so purely focused on Dak. You're not hearing about Jalen Hurts, who had an absolute stinker of a game. So he did. And I mean, that's what, 7 interceptions in 6 games for Jalen Hurts right now.
Yeah.
And everyone's now starting to kind of tune up to the whole brotherly love shove now, which sounds absolutely gank. I'm sorry, but
that's what happens when you put a running back in at quarterback.
Exactly, Graham. Exactly.
And 250 million worth of a running back as well, Graham.
Oh, DJ Dog just made a really great comment. That this is a game I'm really interested to see. The Eagles play the Dolphins next week. That should be a good, interesting game.
Yeah.
I'm not playing favoritism here, but I can see the Dolphins absolutely crushing that game. Like, they're on fire right now.
That game could go either way. It could be a 40-point win for either team. That's the starting thing about it.
You know what's so funny about that game? You've got 2 complete polar opposite of coaches. One, you've got Nick Sirianni, who's a complete douchebag, right? And you've got Mike McDaniels, who's just a pure calm collective, no really caring to the world. It's like, what the hell?
Just while we're on that team that play in green, did we all see that they've signed Julio Jones today?
That's more of a mark. Yeah, I don't see what Julio Jones is going to do, what they've already got on their roster right now. They've got AJ Brown, they've got what's his face for Devontae Smith. I mean, I don't think the problem's their wide receiver. I think the problem's actually Jalen Hurts. I really do.
Yeah. And that game that they play against Miami, it's Tua versus Jalen. I think it's possibly for the first time in the NFL.
Oh.
I'm not sure if they've played before in the NFL, but you know, that's what's going on. You know.
Oh, the TV ratings for that one would be quite good.
They will. And as Joe was kind of saying here, the 49ers are at Minnesota on Monday Night Football next week. So
I am definitely not staying up for that one. No chance. I've had enough of Monday Night Football to last me a whole year. Like my hairline is receding bad enough. I cannot deal with it anymore.
You know, it's good that we're talking about this stuff, but I still think we need to take care of our own backyard before we start looking elsewhere.
Yes, we do. No, you're absolutely right, Graham.
I think going back to last night's game, food for thought, but a win is a win, and especially at this stage in the season. I don't think we. In saying that, I don't think we ever looked like we were really going to lose that game. I don't think there was never like a point where everything was against us. Our defense did another outstanding job. Again, when you think we're down a couple of starters already.
Sorry, Graham, but bloody hell, Tim, that is savage.
Ouch. Yeah.
Fuck like what? Oh my god, I was not expecting that of a comment tonight. Cheers for that, Tim.
Keep going,
Andy. Sorry, Graham.
Shout out to Micah Parsons and the sack that pretty much, I wouldn't say pretty much won the game, but boy, did we not need that sack at that particular time, because you know, a field goal brought them back into the game, and they didn't even manage that.
Yeah. I will say though, Graham, I feel like I would say the majority of the game, like we did okay. We managed to keep them under 20 points. That to me is still a win for the defense in general.
Yeah.
But obviously for us, we didn't put enough points on the board, so it's like that. But I think the defense kind of did okay up to the end, where that's when we really needed them at the most, and that's when they showed up. With the Gilmore interception, the Micah Parsons sack, it really put that extra pressure on Justin Herbert, and he made a mistake big time, and it cost the Chargers to even get into field goal range. So I think it's what's the terminology? It's the I can't remember the main terminology would be. It's like basically when your stars are basically there right at the right moment, at the right time, pretty much, and that's exactly what happened. So yeah,
I think to hold anybody to 17 points is good.
It's great. It's great. Like so, I mean, and that's what I mean. I that's what I mean. I can't really complain to a certain point. There was point. I still kind of feel as though there was still gaps in the run game, but this is me being very panicky right now. There is still, we got Austin Eckler was still getting through the A gaps a little bit. I kind of feel sometimes the coverage was a little bit off. Who was the wide receiver? It just kept getting wide open. It wasn't Josh Allen.
Keenan Allen.
Josh Palmer.
Palmer. That's it. It's Josh Palmer. That's the one. He was creating so much separation out there, and I thought, geez, we really need to kind of mark him up a lot more closely this time. So, but
Eckler, 27 yards on the ground.
Yeah.
He got a couple in the air. He did get a couple in the air, but that's one of the best running backs in the league you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just me. It kind of feels as though he did a lot more damage compared to what the stats say.
He did get a couple of nice passes. He did.
Yeah.
Let me look it up. He did get 35 through the air. So it wasn't, I mean, that doesn't sound brilliant either, but he was in the game, if you know what I mean. Like it was, he wasn't a complete bystander.
Because I'm just looking at it right now. So 14 carries for 27 yards. That's literally what 2
yards,
like 2.1, 2.05 yards. Just
2 yards carry. Yeah. Now, if you flip it,
no, you're right. You're right. It'd be less than that. It'd be like 1.95 yards per carry.
Yeah. If you flip it the other way, Pollard was the same. Pollard was 30 for 15.
But I'd like to see the first point of contact on Tony Pollard from last night, because
that's a good point, Graham. Yep.
Our O-line was not at the races last night, and there were a couple of frustrating flags in there as well. There was one particular sack on Dak where Khalil Mack bull rushed Tyron Smith, and Smith was so upright, and Mack just managed to get underneath him and push him back into Dak. It wasn't clever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Guys, there's a question that did come in, and look, we kind of mentioned this in our own private chat this morning. I'm just trying to find it here, so bear with me. Clock management.
Oh yeah, what the hell?
This isn't the first or last time we've mentioned clock management this season with Mike McCarthy in terms of what he's been doing and giving teams that 2-minute warning as an extra timeout, effectively.
I don't get it. I really don't. I don't know what else to say. I just don't get what he's trying to do in terms of clock management. Like, surely you want to kind of take away the opportunity from the team, regardless. You don't want to be giving it to them. Why would you, like, that's putting more pressure on our defense to actually try and outperform that.
Yeah.
Essentially. So he needs to do a hell of a lot better. We can't afford to do that. Luckily we're going into the bye week, which is great. We're going to be 4-2 going into the bye week. Fantastic. We can chill, relax, recuperate. But we've got the Rams, and we've got the Eagles next. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. So two tough games up ahead of us. Right. Mm-hmm. And particularly, obviously, Scamadelphia. So, but I said what I said. All right. So we've got a tough game against them, the Dirty Birds, whatever you want to call them, Manky Pigeons, whatever you want to call them. I'm full of the trolling right now, so I'm on fire tonight. I'm on fire. As you may know, I have a big dislike towards Philadelphia. Like, if I was to ever end up in Philadelphia, I'd probably end up short. So
just don't leave the airport, Paul.
Oh man, jeez. I might put a Cowboys jersey in the Rocky Balboa statue. See how that goes down.
Graham, is this clock management? Is this something that's carried over from Mike McCarthy's time in Green Bay, or is this a new phenomenon?
I don't think so. No, I mean,
that was my question as well.
We won the game.
Yeah,
we won the game. Let's not try and pick threads. It was a while ago. I mean, I don't see Mike McCarthy having clock management issues. I mean, yeah, he got it a little bit wrong, but for me, that it's Mike McCarthy's fourth down calls that I would show a little bit more concern at, because somebody at some point has told McCarthy, look, see if it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, let's go for it. The stats say go for it, but we don't have the Zeke Elliott anymore.
This is what I find.
There was a couple of frustrating times last night where you guys will have probably picked up on. There's a mash of players in the middle of the line.
Yeah.
And there was no check from the running back, check and spin out. It was basically room for one more, lads, and he clambers in and just tries to run up the middle, and I'm thinking, there's absolutely no room for you in there, but you're going anyway. It happened a couple of times, and I don't know whether that's you will run this play. We are telling you to run this play. That is your gap. You hit your gap or you sit on the bench. But see if I was a running back, I would be thinking, right, I'm not going in there. I'm going to check out, be patient, and see what opens up. Like there was one particular time where, who was it? For Dak's touchdown, he hands the ball out, and it was one of the best fake handoffs.
Oh, that was
you're likely
beautiful.
to see this season.
I generally forgot we screwed the pooch in that one. I really did. Then the camera angle changed to Dak. I was like, wait, what the hell?
Because I can't remember the Chargers player, but he bit on it.
Yeah.
And because he bit on it, every other Charger bit on it. And Dak just wandered up the middle of the field. I mean, Mike was saying that's a design run. If that's a design run, then that's beautiful. Superb.
Because that was like, what, 4th and 2 in that play as well.
Yeah. I don't know. Analytics-wise, he's probably right to go for it, but maybe I'm just a little bit of a conservative football fan and just want to punt it away unless you absolutely have to. I mean, we've talked so many times this season. We've got a top 5 defense this year. Use it.
Yeah.
You know, put them down the other end of the field. I mean, our punting was good last night. Our kicking was even better. We'll get to that. Just Tim Warner Green designed option, and it was a fantastic play call. Clock management, nah. I'm not gonna pick holes in a win. If it comes down to a loss, absolutely. But there are enough deficiencies, offense and defense, to pick at without calling a run.
I think we do need to pick the holes because it's an area for improvement if we're going to continue for the season. Think of it in that respect.
That's what I'm saying. We're not short of them.
Yeah,
there's plenty of fish to fry without picking on our time management as well. If you get what I mean.
True. I totally get you.
If it comes down to a loss, it goes way under. I mean, you know what it's like in Dallas.
Yeah,
you know what it's like in the media. If the Chargers go down the field and score a touchdown, it's a far bigger issue.
Yeah,
but thankfully, it wasn't last night.
Do you know what was kind of funny? I was watching Skywalker Steele's podcast not long ago on the 80 Sports Dallas, right? And one of his key matchups was Mike McCarthy versus Mike McCarthy. Like, he actually did Mike McCarthy versus Mike McCarthy. It wasn't against Kellen Moore. He was actually battling McCarthy against himself because it was all down to the clock management and his design plays. I thought it sounded crazy at first, but seeing after looking back on it, it's like, I can totally understand why he made that segment. Completely understand why.
True.
Brian, if you can bring up that last comment from Tim. Tim, I absolutely agree with you. It is about, going for the touchdown.
Yeah.
But there's enough to talk about issue-wise, if you get what I mean. But you're absolutely right. If the Chargers win that game, it's all over the sports pages why they didn't go for the touchdown. Absolutely. Totally agree.
Just something I do want to say, like, folks, we do see all the comments coming in, and if we're not pulling them up, we do have a plan for later in the program, and we will try and revisit everything. So, as always, we do appreciate your interactions. We do appreciate your questions and thoughts, and make sure they keep coming in. One of the ones that's come in from Joe, and it's come in from Mark Anthony, Marquesky Bell, balled out last night.
Marquise Bell.
Yeah.
He's playing with an extra £50 that he doesn't have. I mean, see on the was it a sack or a tackle for loss?
Tackle for loss.
He comes flying out of nowhere, takes whoever it was out of the game. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
Not bad for an undrafted free agent.
No, exactly.
And you know what the scary thing is, Brian? He was one of the guys that we kept talking about during that draft process way back last year. J-Tuck, especially, he was talking about him non-stop. It was like from Florida A&M. He was at
Florida A&M,
yeah, like and every time we did mock drafts, Marquise Bell was always there, like 7th rounder pretty much, and we got him as an undrafted free agent because we knew the potential he had, like after watching his game footage. But my God, man, he's really coming onto his own right now.
Yeah. As DJ Dog is kind of saying here, he agrees with Graham for safety. He's not afraid to lay the wood. And I mean, that's what you want from your safeties, that they're coming downhill. It's something Donovan Wilson has done well for the last 5 years. He's not afraid, as your strong safety, to get close to the line, get into the box, and hit people. Barry Church was the exact same before him in terms of hitting people.
I mean, it's difficult for the Chargers to pick up on that when a blitz comes from that deep, and that's what you want. You know, it's all well and saying, you know, you watch your DNs, keep an eye on your linebackers, but see when a safety comes screaming out of nowhere, you know, he's the 6th guy to hit the line, especially when we were so good in coverage. It just gives the safety that extra minute to get there, to get into the backfield. You know, it's nice to see others contribute in the backfield other than Lawrence and Micah Parsons. I know I'm not Lawrence's biggest fan, but there were a lot of good tackles out of Lawrence last night, I have to say. You know, line of scrimmage, I don't know if he got anybody in the backfield, but
he
was one of the main reasons why Eckler didn't get going.
I have, DeMarcus Lawrence had one tackle for a loss is what I have him down for. But one of the things we do want to kind of talk about, this kind of came out of last night, and it's in terms of the injuries and the latest news and say the roster moves. Obviously, look, Nashawn Wright was activated off IR. LVE and CJ Goodwin went to IR. Tyre Sweet's been signed to the 53. Rashawn Evans has been added to the practice squad. And then Malik Davis was elevated last night for the first time this season off the practice squad. Deuce Vaughn was a healthy scratch last night.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
The good news story has finished the honeymoon period, unfortunately. There are so many running backs without a job just now. They are, especially backups, that are a dime a dozen. He's undersized. He's not as elusive as I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
If Turpin wasn't so assured at kick returner or punt returner, you might see him there. But there's not enough flash for me.
Yeah.
They could still bring in another type of running back. Hope I'm wrong. I hope that he's just had a couple of off weeks, and the good news story does turn out to be something good. But right now, it's not looking great.
Yeah. One of the other things, again, gents, that we spoke about last week, and again we spoke about it this morning, Michael Gallup. There seems to be a big issue there with Michael Gallup. He was targeted 10 times last night.
He was.
He caught the ball 3 times.
And he should have had a touchdown.
Yeah.
He should have had a touchdown. From my remembering of the pass, was it triple coverage?
Yeah.
I think it was damn near triple coverage, and he didn't come down with the ball. And when you've got a media out there that's desperate to criticize Dak for every single opportunity they can, when he throws a pass like that to the end zone that only the Cowboys receiver can come down with, that needs to be a touchdown.
Let me break it down. I'll break it down for you. So CeeDee Lamb was 7 for 7.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard was 6 for 7.
Yep.
Brandon Cooks was 4 for 4. Michael Gallup was 3 for 10. Jake Ferguson was 1 for 1, and Sean McKeon was 0 for 1.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks had a bigger game than Michael Gallup last night, and Brandon Cooks has been scarce all season long.
I will say though, sorry Graham, sorry to kind of button, but I will say I think we've actually kind of utilized our weapons a bit better in terms of distribution in that game. I felt
getting it to our number one. You mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, we were 7 for 7, 117 yards. That's what you're 160, 16 points for your fantasy if you're interested in that. But yeah, like it kind of looks as though like Lamb's definitely your number one target, but the fact is, but Gallup was given the most attempts, the most targets. Gallup was.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's a really difficult situation because he's only just signed the new deal, and the Cowboys can't afford to eat $13 million. Damn near close to $14 million. Yeah, it's concerning right now. When we talked about it as a gamble, he was at the point he signed the contract, he was still through his rehab. Yeah. But in saying that, didn't see Jalen Tolbert much.
No.
I mean, is Michael Gallup our second, third receiver by default? Because I don't see anybody challenging for the third slot.
It just seems to
not
be
much competition out there.
It just seems to be Lamb and Cooks as of right now. Then you've got your tight ends.
Yeah, and just DJ Dog has made the point here, and I'm going to throw it up. Where have our tight ends disappeared to? I think
one of them's on IR.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hendershot.
I'll be brutally honest right now. Our second round pick is a non-event. It's early days. I am not judging. I do not judge rookies until the third season, at least, because they need time. They do need time. It's a huge step, especially if you're not a first round pick. But as of right now, it doesn't look like a great pick. Ferguson's our best active tight end right now by a long shot.
Hands down, mate.
Yeah. I'm just going to pull up Elizabeth's comment here and come back to Michael Gallup. And this is something I've seen from a lot of people. And Elizabeth, I'm not trying to pick on you when I'm calling this. It's almost like they forgot about Gallup, but Dak's passes to Gallup were not accurate. Even the last two passes to Lamb were off. Bell passes were spot on. I'm not sure what that last sentence is. But for me, Michael Gallup is your guy who goes up for a contested ball. So saying it's not being thrown accurately to him is a bit of a misnomer because he's your guy who's supposed to have that ability to win dirty ball. So where has that ability in him gone to? He just doesn't seem to do it anymore.
I think for me, that, and Mike actually made the point about that ever since the injury. I think mentally he's not quite right there. Physically, he might be there, but mentally, I think he's playing it way too much on his mind. And I think that's what's really affecting him right now, potentially. Because obviously, you're coming back for a big, massive injury. You don't want to be doing as many curl routes or stuff like that. That is going to put a lot of pressure on your knee and your ankles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for him to kind of all these different types of movements, kind of plague on his mind a little bit. I think once he actually makes a big play and actually execute, it might take his mind at ease. But not to kind of give him a gateway, how he performed was not good enough. End of. But I just generally think he's got a big, massive mental block in his mind right now, because we know like he's had a good off season. He's back to full recovery. There should be no excuses here. So I think it's definitely more of a mental block more than anything.
Think of the sideline catches we've seen over the years, the toe drags and so on. Some of them have been incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to agree with you, Paul. You don't lose talent like that overnight.
Yep.
Whether it's the separation isn't there, or he doesn't trust his body just yet. Don't know. Only he and the Cowboys will know that, obviously.
Yeah. It's a tough one to really kind of pin it down on, but yeah.
It's not like the targets aren't there.
Well, he was the more
targets out there.
Yeah, he was the most targeted our whole receiver core. I think Dak's trying to get him involved. I think that's maybe one of the issues as well, where we know Gallup can be a big play type of guy, but if it's not working, then look to different players essentially. Like go back to CD Lamb or whoever. Like I don't know. I really don't know. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
I mean, he's the odd man out right now, really, isn't he? Lamb 100%, Pollard 100%, Cooks 100%. Even Ferguson caught the one target.
Yep.
It's Michael Gallup that's not bringing in the.
I think
and it's a shame because there were points during the season where you thought, right, we're moving on from Amari Cooper because Michael Gallup's going to be the guy, and it's not the case.
I'm actually upset at the fact you just mentioned Amari Cooper there. He had a great game against San Francisco. Why on earth did he great time, honestly? I honestly don't know. But hey, that's the past, isn't it? What the hell has happened to Brian? I think he's disappeared. I think
it's that Irish internet again. He'll come back and blame the internet again.
Must have run out of potatoes.
We move on to the O-line. What did you make of the O-line?
Run game, run blocking was just non-existent.
It wasn't, was it?
It
wasn't there.
That was probably the worst game I've seen. And sorry, Brian, I had to make that wee joke there. I do apologize.
Don't worry at all.
Oh dear, it's the classic Irish saying. Like you always mention about potatoes and stuff like that. But anyway,
Brian, you're going to get flagged soon if you're not careful. There's flags everywhere at the minute. You need to dip that in some yellow paint. Oh, it's away again.
I've not got a yellow flag, but I've got a yellow Haribo wrapper. There you go.
So yeah.
The inside run, inside run was just non-existent. I thought Tyler Smith's game was probably one of his worst games in the guard position, and it does beg the question though. It's like, are we probably better like shifting Tyler Smith back outside and start looking towards different aspects in the inside guard, like put maybe TJ Bass in there, because that guy is born to play guard.
I think for me it all boils down to tailoring to accommodating Tyron Smith.
I completely agree with you on that. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love Tyron Smith, love him to bits. He's like, love him with all my heart. But as we know, you're not gonna get a full-on season with Tyron. There's gonna be some point. It's just a matter of when he's going to miss maybe a couple of games. Well, he's already missed a couple of games already this season. But
yeah.
So already he's not having a full season. So, but as it gets closer up to after Thanksgiving, winter, Christmas time, are we going to see much of that? And we're going to push Tyler Smith back outside and maybe put a Bass in there, or is it going to be Asim Richards on the left tackle position? We don't know, but there is a void in that part when it comes to the inside run. Outside run at times is fantastic. like depending on what the scheme is and how their defense is lined up, we can run the outside run really great. But when it comes to having Tony Pollard to run it inside, I'd rather have Rico Dowdle doing that because he can take on the hits a lot more. He can actually straddle it and move his feet along, gaining those extra yards, like those dirty yards that Zeke can potentially do. And that's kind of going back to what you were saying earlier. Like, that's one thing that we do miss. We do miss Zeke actually being that powerhouse running back. But when it comes to like your 4th and 1s or 4th and 2s, and if you are going for it, put Dowdle in there and or put Hunter Lupke in there and go for the like single back. You've got your quarterback, fullback, running back, and just ran it down their throats to get that extra yard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sorry, I went off a wee tangent there. Sorry.
No, it's. It would not surprise me if this is Smith's last year. And
we're gonna have to be prepared for that. And when it comes to, I know, and I hate talking about it right now because it's just been week 6 of this NFL season, and we're thinking about next year. What are we going to do next year in terms of the draft? Because obviously I stand corrected. I did say 4 picks, but we've got 8. Brian, 8 draft picks.
We've 8. But like we've our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then we don't get one for nearly 100 more picks. Is the way it works out. I think we're missing our 4th. We're missing our 5th. Yeah, and it's near the end. It's near the end of the 6th, and then 2 in the 7th. So it's in the middle where you pick up guys?
I mean, aren't those picks called Brandon Cooks and Stephon Gilmore? Though that's what we spent on them. Is that right?
No, this is
Trey Lance. It was Eric Scott. Yeah, Trey Lance and Eric Scott. Yep. So it's definitely a concern because whether we're going to look for a guard or look for another left tackle, I think that would be as of right now as a priority. If we want to maintain this type of team going forward, it would have to be an offensive lineman for next year as a top priority.
And don't forget, our center is out of contract after this season.
Oh, crikey. Right.
Yeah.
Jerry, Steven, money is giving me a headache. Oh, my God. Salary cap. My God. Why can't it just be unlimited?
Yeah, the 5 sacks they're going to have to look at. You can't have that.
And the fact we also had a penalty on Zach Martin. I think I did an article last summer, and Zach Martin had been in the league 9 years and had 8 penalties against him. You know, Zach Martin giving up penalties is rare.
I think everybody just could you give pass marks? I mean, I'm maybe being a little bit harsh, but could you give pass marks to any of the 5? I mean, I didn't hear Steele mentioned all that often. I think he maybe did okay. Was he flagged? I don't know. There were that many. Let's face it, there were that many. How did any of us know? There were so many.
Yeah, you'd have to go back to the play-by-play to check on who all the flags were on. And I think the one that was on Zach, they actually declined it.
Did Bosa have much of a influence in the game?
Not really.
Not really. It was. I mean, going back 3 or 4 years, you think Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. Wow, that's something to talk about. But I don't think Khalil Mack's not the player that he used to be with the Bears, is he? I mean, is he a stud defensive end?
I don't think so anymore. No, like he had 5 or 6 sacks there recently enough in a game. He nearly broke the Chaz Green record. You know, and that's kind of
maybe I'm doing him at the service. Yeah, maybe I am.
Yeah.
But the 5 sacks, that's to you guys' knowledge, were any of them coverage sacks? I don't know. They seem to get there pretty quickly.
I think there was one of them there was definitely one because Dak had to escape the pocket. He was going to the right hand side of the field, and he was basically running with the ball. But because he's still behind the line of scrimmage, all the players started coming back down to the line of scrimmage and managed to get him before passing the plane.
Aikman referred to that as a mistake by Dak, didn't he?
What else was he supposed to do?
Yeah,
nobody was wide open. He had to run with the ball, and the way how the defense they shifted them across, he had to force it wide. And what else was he supposed to do?
Exactly.
Oh, crikey, honestly, man. And yeah, like Khalil Mack is an absolute beast. I will give him props for that. Like,
yeah,
DJ Doug does raise a good point. Maybe it's the health thing that I'm thinking of that. I think he's not on the field very much. It's just when he's on the field, he stands up.
Yeah. Just want to pull up a point here that DJ Dog has also said. He said, I don't want to bench Dak, but media talking about how we were lucky that Herbert missed those throws is discounting that the Chargers were lucky we didn't connect. Do you know, like this
is exactly what we're talking about in mainstream media. They're absolute mutants, man. Seriously. Like, honestly, like they say, oh yeah, Justin Herbert, he is a top 5 quarterback. And it's like, honestly, Christ, man, Justin Herbert was absolute trash. How do you think that anyone regard it? Even Jalen Hurts is absolute trash. I'm sorry. I am sick and tired of the mainstream media having an unfair, unjustified digs out of our quarterback because we are the America's team. Sorry, the world's team. We are because we've got Cowboys fans all across the world. But I'm sorry. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's like, oh my God.
Interesting that when Dak throws interceptions and missed passes, he's trash, but when Justin Herbert throws picks and grounded balls, he's unlucky.
I'll give you an example, Graham. Josh Allen last year, he had worse stats than Dak. Where's his criticism? Goodness gracious me. Oh, this is Josh Allen. He's the NFL golden boy. Ta-da! I'm like, fucking absolute nonsense.
I wanted to bring this up because this brought up another point over the weekend, right? And Paul, I'm going to fully support you in this one, right? Because all we hear about is...
Oh, dear.
Hear about what?
Yes.
Sorry, Brian, you got cut off there.
Yeah, delay of game, Brian.
Yeah. Delay of game. Time out. But no, look, the point I want to make, right? Every time it's someone else, Josh Allen versus the Jets intercepted 3 times. Jalen Hurts intercepted 3 times at the weekend, right? Robert Saleh came out and said, oh, we faced a gauntlet of quarterbacks and we faced them all down. Dak pretty much torched the Jets in that game. You know, like it's such a false narrative that surrounds the media in terms of the Cowboys.
And it's absolute BS for head coaches to come out and say that.
Yeah.
Like I will say though, like is Dak one of the best quarterbacks in the league? I'd still say no because he does have his flaws, just like any other quarterback. Like if you're going to go and base who's the best in terms of quarterbacks, it still would have to be Mahomes, regardless, right? And we can't deny that. Like I think we're all in agreement on that one, right? Like Mahomes, right? So, but in terms of after that, it's a pure pick and mix. 1 week, Joe Burrow can be freaking amazing. The week after, he can be absolute dog war, but no one criticizes that. Same with Jalen Hurts. Great 1 week, absolute trash the other. No criticism. Josh Allen, my goodness, the golden boy of the NFL covers and all that stuff, can absolutely jump off a bloody cliff or off a bloody care. Like, it's just getting absolutely ridiculous. It's like, but when it comes to Dak Prescott, good week, no much talk about. Yeah, you got lucky. Bad week. Oh yeah, we know he's not a good quarterback. Blah 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 blah. I'm just like, where is the unbiased journalism out there. I'm being deadly serious. It is ridiculous. You've got absolute fools on Fox right now, like Shady McCoy, who did. I'm sorry, but he's absolutely. I don't know if he's too many like hits being in the front lines of being a running back. I do not know, but some of the stuff he mentions is absolutely ridiculous for him to say all this type of stuff. But you get what I mean, and you've got absolute idiots like Bart Scott and all that type of stuff as well, like coming up with stupid takes and that. Then we've actually got guys and sometimes in Dallas radio making daft takes now. Like I'm just like, where is? Yeah, I'm gonna lose my freaking mind right now, honestly.
This week's Paul Rant has been brought to you by Haribo.
They're delicious, as you can tell.
But
other mainstream sweets are available.
I'm going to pull this up from Mark Anthony. He says the comparison this morning with Dak and Peyton Manning was brought up. Dak has better numbers to this point than Peyton Manning has. And Peyton didn't win his Super Bowl until his 9th year. You know, this is something we see a lot in terms of Dak, is that his numbers are comparable with some of the best quarterbacks to have ever played the game. But because he's the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, because he hasn't won a Super Bowl, because he hasn't brought Dallas to a championship game, it's always the bad things which are picked up in the media. And is that unfair?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He's America's. He's the world's team's quarterback. So he's gonna come in for extra criticism, whether he likes it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, look at some of the quarterbacking situations around there. Now, this is just off the top of my head, but some of the quarterback situations around the league. Tell me these teams wouldn't consider trading for Dak Prescott right now, right? The Panthers just drafted their golden boy, first overall, 0-6. But you're thinking, nah, he's gone in too early. Give your next quarterback time to develop. Right, okay. Let's go to the NFC North. Jordan Love had 3 years to develop. They're 2-3. They're not playing particularly well either. The golden boy, Justin Herbert, 2-3. The Bears finished Sunday's game with an undrafted quarterback. Justin Fields having a rough time of it, 1-5. Russell Wilson, 1-5. How much do you think the Patriots would give up for Dak Prescott right now?
Yeah.
I mean, the Patriots have they've benched Mac 3 weeks in a row. Mac Jones hasn't finished a game for 3 weeks. Half the teams in this league would love to have Dak Prescott right now. I have no doubt in saying that.
I will say this right now. If Dak was to play for any other team right now, he would not be getting as much criticism as he would be getting as of right now. Plain and simple.
He will be talked about as a top 5 quarterback.
You said, hey, here we go.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree.
This is how ridiculous the move on from Dak and just draft one. You know, I bring it up all the time. Regular listeners will be sick of me hearing and saying it. The guy taken second with the Texans has a 500 record. The guy taken first is 0-6. Now, you could argue that the Panthers last season had a better team than the Texans. Yet CJ Stroud has managed to pull that offense together, and they're reputable. They won't get it. Do you know what? They might even get to the playoffs. Who knows?
I have to admit, Stroud has actually looked not too bad. He made a couple of mistakes in the Saints game, but his first 4 games, he looked really solid.
Yeah, because you can bet your bottom dollar the Panthers GM, I don't know his name, but the Panthers GM is thinking, hold on a minute, did we miss the boat here? Are we gonna be getting talked about for the next 10 years? We could have had CJ Stroud.
It's still, I think it's
looking that way.
It's projecting that way, but I think it's still early to make that assumption just now.
It is early.
I think
it's
like Mike's. I think it's like what Mike says is like after Thanksgiving, then you can give a good proper analysis.
Yeah.
And as Joe says, look, the teams we've mentioned have bad offense. It's not all the quarterback's fault, and that's kind of the point we're trying to make. Is that when things go bad for the Dallas Cowboys, it always seems to be it's Dak's fault. Everything is Dak's fault. It's not the wide receivers, not the running backs, not the tight end. It's not the offensive line. It's Dak. And unfortunately, teams live and die by what their quarterback does. It's not that Tom Brady had great defenses to win 6 Super Bowls, or Eli Manning's defense won 2 Super Bowls. It's always Eli won 2 Super Bowls. So it's something you have to consider. And just again, something that's been brought up. Everybody talks about the money Dak makes. He's paid standard pretty much set by Kirk Cousins. How's Kirk Cousins doing this season?
They've struggled with the best receiver in the league, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Matheson is not the player that they thought he was going to be.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah. But look, we're gone over an hour into the show, and we haven't really spoken about the defense so far. And I mean, you see the numbers rolling down there through the bottom of the screen. Gents, Damone Clark, we picked him up in the 5th round last year. A lot of people spoke about him as being a first-round talent. And the only reason he slipped into the 5th was because of injury concerns and the fact that he was expected to redshirt last year. Have we managed to pick up another gem in the late round? Has Will McClay done his magic?
Absolutely, 100%. And it seems to be the later round picks in most recent years seem to be the absolute gems we've been picking up recently. So let that may long continue, because they've got a lot more to play for. They want a point to prove to say, oh, you drafted me 5th round, you drafted me 7th round, well, or you got me undrafted. I'm here to make a point. Marquise Bell, great example as well. But yeah, Damone Clark's been absolutely fantastic, man. Like, 8 total tackles, 7 solo tackles. I mean, he was the top tackler on our team yesterday. And yeah, what else can I say?
And the other go on, Graham.
Right now, it looks like it, but I will hold the praise back just a little bit, because I loved the last LSU linebacker that they took, and now he's on the street. I thought Jabril Cox was going to be the next best thing.
So did I. So did I.
It's a little bit of a similar situation. Hopefully.
Again, no, Graham, that maybe kind of came to showing, like, why did Jabril Cox fall down to the 4th round that year?
Yeah.
And we must have been thinking, oh, we did have him graded maybe as a 2nd rounder. Why is all these other teams skipping on him at the time? Then whether it was his ability to adapt to the Dan Quinn defense, that could be it. For all we know, we don't know the reason why he was let go. Like, system, he's not a system-based like linebacker for under Dan Quinn. It could be struggling with like processing or whatever. I don't know, but either way, it just didn't work out. Unfortunately, we know he's a good player, but I think it just depends on the type of defense that you're operating them in.
Yeah,
but linebacker's a funny one. I mean, think back to Hard Knocks 2 years ago. Malcolm Rodriguez, undrafted free agent. Not free agent, undrafted rookie. Wins a roster spot. He's now one of the studs on that 5-1 Lions defense. A little bit of effort.
Is that the guy who played for OSU?
OSU, yeah, he played for Oklahoma State.
just shows a little bit of effort goes a long, long way.
That was another guy we talked about quite a lot during the draft process. Was Marco Rodriguez? Yeah,
I always remember and the one of last year's kind of highlights before the start of the show. He says, "I love football because you get to hit people." That's the kind of attitude you need from your linebackers.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things with linebackers. They always seem to, not just the Cowboys, teams tend to hit on linebackers in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round. As you guys have said, Malcolm Rodriguez, Damone Clark. I'm thinking of Pete Warner and Fred Warner. Both of those guys were 4th and 5th round picks. They've got huge contracts, so it's not always first round linebackers that work out, so it's good to see them.
I just want to bring up Valenti's comment.
Go first.
Where has our defense gone? Our defense kept them under 20 points. What more could you want?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, we won week 1 and week 2 defense. I totally get that. Like, but let's be honest here. We managed to keep. We gave them we stopped them at 4. But what? How many times did Cameron Dicker, or was it the punter? 5 times. 5 times they had to punt the ball back to us. That's still good enough for me, to be honest. Like throughout the whole game, like
you're not going to get 2 sacks and 5 tackles for loss out of Parsons every week, and I think we all know that. Even Andrew will know that. And I think also, Andrew, you need to remember that we're down 2 starters already.
Yeah.
We've lost Diggs and LVE for the season. So they're going to lose a bit of momentum sooner or later. And it's not going to be it's not going to be flying to the quarterback every week because they now have tape on the Cowboys defense.
Yeah.
So there's 5 weeks worth of tape to look at, whereas week 1 and week 2 you didn't have that tape. So you're gonna realize a little bit more what Mazzie Smith's deficiencies are. You're gonna understand when Parsons does this, we need to do that, so on, so on. Everybody got moved up a place on the corner and the linebacker depth chart, so it's going to take a bit of adjustment, but hopefully it will come back.
Yeah, I mean, we kept the Chargers down to 53 yards total rushing. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They had less than 300 yards across rushing and passing in this game. I mean, that's a win in anyone's language.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And
I think it's because we're not making the big highlight reel plays. Like, but when you really do dissect the film, like when I was watching the film again today, I was like, okay, I loved what even Tyler Sweet, the guy who just came up to the roster, some of the stuff he was doing in the inside of that defensive line, I was like, oh, I like what he did to hit into that B gap there. Really like that. Like, and I actually changed the direction for like Austin Eckler to move back into the A gap, and that's where he got caught up big time. So those wee small increments of changes from certain different types of players does change the direction, but you need to watch it with a fine tooth comb to really notice that. Like, but the big 2 plays that actually did happen, like obviously the Gilmore interception and the Micah Parsons sack. This is what we were saying at the start of the show. It's like it happened at the right moment, at the right time when we needed them most. That to me is exactly what we need. Like, you can still throw in all those sacks so early on in the game, but when it comes to at the tail end of the game and it's like all even, all square, I would rather have my defense to come out at the time and need when the clock is really narrowing down rather than all gassed out at the very start. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Or you're talking about the Micah Parsons sack.
Exactly.
I mean, you could not pick, if you're going to pick a time to put your sack in, that was it.
It was perfect timing. He was, let's be honest, he was close to getting a couple of them as he got moved back to defensive end.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. That I remember that. Yeah, but I was watching it earlier. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
I'm trying to pull up the Chargers offensive line, And the Chargers are a team who have invested quite heavily in first-round picks on their
especially offensive line, yeah, because they've got Rashawn Slater, a guy we all talked about who could have been for us.
We did Zion Johnson.
They got
he was in the conversation.
Yeah, the guy from Boston State, Boston College, sorry. Yeah.
And do they have Elijah Vera Tucker?
They do. Oh, wait, no. He's
with the Jets. Yeah.
This is according to the ESPN. It's left to right. Rashawn Slater, Zion Johnson, Will Clapp, Jamari Salyer, and Trey Pipkins third.
Yeah, Pipkins. That was the one. I couldn't remember. Yeah,
I mean they've got Corey Linsley in there as well. He's had a decent career. Linsley. He was a starter for the Packers not long ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you in that comment. Like, we do love a win, but there has been an inconsistency in some games. I totally agree with you, Andrew. But I just think with that game we just witnessed there's nothing much we can really complain about. We played to our strengths. We stopped them from the run game to only 53 yards, under 20 points a game. We got a takeaway. We did get a sack at the very most crucial moments of that game. Like, I couldn't care less if it was the first quarter and we had 5 sacks. But see, if they were to come back and win that game, I'd be really annoyed the fact that we gassed ourselves out for those bigger moments to stop them from scoring.
Yeah.
So,
is it fair to say we ground that game out?
Yes.
It wasn't clicking for us, but you can win 50 zip or 2017. A win's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a weird game in that regard, because it was very stalemate at times. If that makes sense, it's like it was a weird one. But at the end of the day, we got the win. We're going to the bye week. You could tell at the end of the game, the players felt a wee bit a sense of release, and particularly in Dak, he was like, "Thank God!" Like, and you saw the passion micropasses game, and hopefully that could be the momentum shift going into the bye week, reevaluating, trying to really pick out how to stop these inconsistencies. But did we score in the red zone in that game?
Twice. We did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacks runs in the red zone.
That's an improvement.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, while we're talking about the defense, I don't think we saw a particularly great game from Kellen Moore. I don't think he's learned much since he left. I don't. At no point did I regret his dismissal last night. Let's put it that way. I mean, you've got a stud running back in Eckler. You didn't get him going. You lent on Allen, and he did manage to get Palmer into the game. Fair enough, but
Palmer.
They've got their studs too, and they didn't turn up.
Yeah. Their first one, like Quentin Johnson, a guy we talked about in the draft, he's kind of being a non-entity for their offense. Really, he's been on the field, but he's not really been catching the imagination of what you expect your first round draft pick to be.
No,
like I think personally. So, because he was targeted twice, no catches.
Yeah. Guy on defense that I want to give a lot of credit to as well. And I keep getting this wrong. Also, Odigizua is not in a contract year. I keep putting him and Gallimore in the same class. They're not 3 years.
Gallimore's in contract year. Osa's next year.
Yeah. Also, Odigizua had 7 tackles last night. For a defensive tackle, that is crazy.
It's all about that feet. All about the feet technique.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're more like, if you're in the free tech position, you're more likely to get more likely to crush in between the guard and the tackle rather than the one tech. Like, because that's where the double team is more focused on, is the one tech more or less. But like Osa, he's really coming into his own right now, and let that made long continue. And and when it comes to the contract year, I think we will need to really consider getting him extended sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I'd also like to say at this point, Brian, the one touchdown I get out of our trade involving Gerald Everett, Yeah, I had him on the bench.
Well, I think I have Michael Meyer on the bench as well, and he scored a touchdown. So, but enough about fantasy football. Another guy who had decent numbers, Stephon Gilmore, 3 tackles, pass defended, 1 INT. He stepped up last night.
I thought, I thought in general, quite a lot of his coverage was actually spot on. He kept one side of the field locked down pretty much.
Yeah.
Like when it came to was it Palmer? That was pretty much on the opposite side from where Gilmore was, pretty much. So I think Gilmore did a fantastic job last night.
Yeah. So well, he got the pick.
Yeah.
He sealed the game for us, yeah.
Yeah. And to be fair, Deron Bland might have given up yards, but again, he was around the ball a lot. I think he had 3 tackles, 2 passes defended. I think he had a quarterback, he had a tackle for a loss. You know, he's always getting himself involved, you know, and that's what you want to see from a second-year cornerback.
And should have had a pick as well, if we're honest.
Yeah.
He had the ball in his hands, and I suppose that's why they're not wide receivers. But yeah, he has been excellent most of the time since he moved up to cornerback 2. He is ascending right now, and just glad he's on the team because he's doing really, really well. Especially when you've considered how much capital we've spent at corner. He is the surprise package in the cornerback position.
Yeah. I'm just seeing a couple of comments here in terms of the offense. Andrew is saying, worry Gallup, where has he gone? Andrew, we did talk in depth about Michael Gallup earlier in the show.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it. We talked a fair amount about Michael Gallup, and we're just as confused as you are on that one, mate. Yeah. Honestly.
I mean, to put it in a nutshell for you, Andrew, I mean, he's only just signed his deal, so it's expensive to cut him right now. If you're going to be brutally honest, and all the other receivers got at least over 90% of their targets. Took it in. Michael Gallup 3 for 10. That's not good.
And and the only really thing we can really explain is like he might be still having that mental block, obviously coming back from injury.
And wasn't it Gallup last week where Dak hit him in the numbers and he bobbled it?
Yeah. That's 2 weeks in a row.
And something else on the Pollard play, Gallup was downfield, the 60-yard play. Gallup missed a block. Gallup could have picked up a block on one of the Chargers cornerbacks. I think it was Asante Samuel who eventually got back. Gallup whiffed on making the block there as well. And that just seems to me to be it's something that's in his head. But Mark is also saying we have to mention Brandon Cooks. All his teammates mention how big of an influence he is in the locker room. No price can be put on how positive that is. And look, hopefully between himself and Stephon Gilmore, as the season progresses, they'll continue to have that influence across the cornerback room and the wide receivers because we'll need that.
Yeah.
It's a funny one because in pre-season, although they didn't play together, and I voiced my concerns on that at the time, on the practice field, it looked electric.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember right, this was going to be the new exciting combination, and it never really got off the ground. But he had a superb game last night. I'm just going through the overview just now. 4 for 4, average of 9 with a touchdown reception. You can't ask for more than that. He only got targeted 4 times and the ball didn't hit the ground once. Obviously he's 30 years old now. You just hope you can get a little bit more out of him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. They also made an interesting point. That's his 5th touchdown reception with a different team.
Yeah.
So he's caught touchdown passes for 5 different teams.
Yeah.
It's quite incredible.
Absolutely. Andrew, yes, we did also talk about the muff punt.
Yeah, it's a shocking decision. So it was the fact that who was it that face caged into, was it Tolbert that pushed into Turpin, or who was it again?
Albert was pushed into Turpin.
Right. Aye. So that was just how the hell was that not called? And I don't even know, man. Honestly, it was just ridiculous. But yeah, we did cover it, mate.
Yeah. Paul, it's nearly around the time where we get to your favorite part of the show. We're going to talk about special teams.
Hey!
And the comments have been flying in. Joe wants Brandon Aubrey in the Hall of Fame already.
Wait. I'm a fan of Brandon Aubrey, but that may be taking a bit way too soon as of right now. But he's in a good trajectory right now. But my goodness, this is the start of his first season in the NFL. So, but yeah, like Brandon Aubrey, man, 15 for 15 field goals this year right now.
Yeah.
Like, and he's only missed the one extra point, which is the first game of the season, which again, you can put that down to not being properly warmed up because it was a special teams touchdown. So,
and he got the wrong ball.
And exactly. So
I will admit, like, I jumped to conclusions way too quickly, and he missed the extra point, and I thought, oh, here we go. But he has been absolutely superb.
Yeah.
I've always had faith.
But yeah, they'll be scouring the MLS looking for the next one.
The next thing they'll probably somebody will end up signing Harry Kane for Bayern Munich. That's right. Because he does want to be an NFL kicker, apparently.
Sooner or later, yeah. But yeah, 28. Guy's 28.
Yeah.
It's some story. It really is. For those that don't know, go and look him up. But was he a kicker in college? I don't think he even kicked in college, did he?
No.
So I'm gonna say it. He followed the Jeff Heath route. He actually went to college on a soccer scholarship.
Right.
And played soccer for Notre Dame all the way through school or through college. And I think he didn't get picked up in the MLS. And he was sitting at home working, and someone suggested to him, how's about trying out for the for NFL kicking?
No, it was for the USFL.
And he ended up going to the USFL, wasn't it? Yeah. You know, so like fair play to him.
Yeah,
he's certainly making a lot more than he did last year, I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah. But let's not also forget how awesome Brian Anger was as well.
Yeah.
Like there was no touchbacks, there was no running up from the Chargers to like punt return it essentially. Did not give them the opportunity to do it.
There was one in particular, it took a hell of a Cowboys bounce.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the one it bounced inside the 5 and you're thinking, oh, was there a bit of forward spin on that ball? Hopefully he's got that technique down.
Yeah. It was special teams were on point, I thought.
Yeah, but talking special teams, we need to go over this penalty again because obviously I just missed the chat.
Yeah. Mark has made a few points here in terms of CJ Goodwin as well, but floor is yours, Graham.
Like if I asked Paul about it, Brian, I don't know what you make of the situation, but I saw the fair catch signal. I saw it as
well. I saw
enough.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, an opposition player should not be within 3 yards of a receiving kick returner like that. I don't care if he's been blocked or not. If you see the returner wave his arms it's a fair catch. Doesn't give you the right to go and to get in his face and be ready to light him up if he drops the ball. It's a fair catch.
Yeah.
And like he never even touched the ball. And it bounces, and the only point of contact there is from a Cowboys player is when
Scrambling for it.
They're scrambling for it. At what point did the Cowboys have an opportunity to possess that ball? They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't. It should have been called dead, and possibly even a flag for interfering with the catch, in my opinion.
Yep, absolutely. Totally agree with you, mate. Totally.
For an officiating crew who had no trouble throwing flags last night.
Exactly. Absolutely right. They held on to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the situation.
The face cage was obvious enough.
Yeah. If Herbert he didn't score the touchdown off of that drive, did he?
No, I don't think they did. I think it was the field goal.
If they put that ball in for 7, it's a completely different story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think we held them down to a field goal in that drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark is saying it's not illegal to block a player into the returner. That was the blocker's fault. The players have to be aware of where the returner is. And we're not disagreeing with that part, Mark. It's more the fact that the guys have said you could see that Turpin made the sign for a fair catch. You can't then block someone into the player making a fair catch.
I think for me, I'm not really that. The robot might say something otherwise with that one, but I don't know. But what really got me is the referees completely missed the face cage on Tolbert. That's what really annoyed me. Yeah. Like, because that should have been the first thing that should have been flagged. Is face cage. Yeah. So, but.
So, gentlemen, look, we've nearly gone an hour and a half at this stage. Is there anything more you gents want to talk about from last night's game?
It was a good win on the road. I want to take an overall look at it. A good win on the road that teams that want to go deep into the playoffs win. They're not playing particularly well. But they say in soccer, if you don't have to play well. If you win every game 1-0, you'll win the league.
Yeah.
And for me, that was a game that the Cowboys just had to win last night. Obviously, coming off a tough loss to the 49ers, people ready to throw Prescott in the bin and start all over again. A solid game from Dak. Yeah. I can't remember any mistakes. I don't know if you guys can remember any, but I don't remember any. It was an assured performance. It was one that they just had to get out the road, leave California with the win, and especially after the Eagles lost, because see if they'd lost that game after the Eagles lost, that damages confidence, because then you're not taking the opportunity, especially when the Eagles lose. So you've got to keep on their heels.
Absolutely. No, I don't have anything else to add. No, Graham just nailed it in the coffin now. Yeah.
So
very good.
Bye week, rest up. Mike McCarthy said as much, and then we'll go again. Hopefully the Eagles drop another loss to the Dolphins.
Yeah, definitely.
But the Dolphins will be wanting to start stronger than they did on Sunday, because they were 14 points behind at the start of the game.
Oh, that's right.
That wasn't clever at the start. They give themselves a shake after that.
I love to see Sirianni's face after that loss.
Absolutely. We didn't pick up any injuries during that game, did we, Brian?
Nothing I've heard of so far.
Always positive.
Yeah,
that's another positive.
And more positives than negatives after that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's still plenty of room to improve.
Yeah.
So if we can continue going in that direction, then great.
Yeah. Andrew, stop being a negative Nancy.
I know, Andrew. Come on, stop it, man.
Yeah, Tim, you're right. On to the Rams. But just kind of to let people know, on Thursday night, Mike and the team will be along. So we'll be having our annual bi-week fan rant show on Thursday night. So the floor will be open to everyone.
I wonder what that's going to be about. What is it always about?
And then next Tuesday, we might see if we can arrange a bit of a round table, or maybe see if we can arrange a special guest. But we will try and update you later in the week in terms of what's going to happen. But we will have a show next Tuesday. So stay tuned. But before we get out of here, we obviously need to pay the bills. So, Graham, if I get you to give the shout out to Cowboys Experience.
Yeah, if you're planning on going to a game at AT&T this year, make sure you book up with Cowboys Experience. They have game tickets, stadium tours, chance to meet and greet the players. Paula clarified last week that you have not met Micah Parsons just yet, but who knows? And there's much, much more. And obviously, if you enter the promo code UK Cowboys, you get
free stuff.
Chocolate pudding.
I mean, you never know. You might even meet Dolly Parton.
That's right.
There we go. There we go.
Oh, perfect segue to what I'm about to talk about.
If you want to take over.
If you're working 9 till 5, mate, honestly. But the travel package for this year, which is the Thanksgiving game, and it has just been announced that Dolly freaking Parton is going to be the halftime show for that game. So, as part of our game package of courtesy of Cowboys Experience, you do get your game ticket. You do get to get your meet and greet and meet former and current Cowboys players, the tailgating, the stadium tour, the Star and Frisco tour, and much, much more.
Absolutely. If you're really lucky on Thanksgiving, you might meet Jolene, and she will tell you how much she will always love you.
Jolene. I cannot sing for crap, man.
But look, as we say, Thursday evening, 9 o'clock in the UK, early 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock Texas time, 1 o'clock on the West Coast. We will have the fan rant show. It's a good night from me, and I'll pass you over to these fine gentlemen.
Dallas for our Philly for never, as usual.
Jolene, just don't take him because you can.
Good night.